Happy Tuesday, February 1st, friends. It is me, your buddy, Gabe El Taib. I have a special guest today. He hit me up on Facebook. He saw some of the stuff I was posting about Truth, Justice, and American Way, that book I'm working on with the great David Williams. Gosh, that's so much fun. Some of the stuff I have to show you guys. His name is Frank Fosco, and I saw that name on Facebook. I was like, I know this name from when I was a teenager and right around high school and right after it. He was working for Eric Larson on a bunch of backup stories like the Savage Dragon stuff, but I remember he did Ninja Turtles, and Ninja Turtles to me in 1990 when I was 12 was just about everything. That was like one of the first graphic novels I ever got, was the 4-pack of Ninja Turtle graphic novels at the Costco. And I guess it was called Price Club back then. But I don't know this man very well at all. I spoke to him for about a minute, just about 10 minutes ago. So I would like to welcome to the show Frank Fosco, and it's going to be great to get to know him. So Frank, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How's it going, Gabe?
I'm doing really good. I'm really, really appreciative that you're here.
Yeah.
You know, I think you're going to give some really interesting insight to our guests and all that. And like I said, Frank worked on a bunch of different things at Image. He was there in the 90s when my brain was being blown out by this stuff and making me want to do this for a living.
Yeah.
So, and let me just say this to you, and I always talk about this as part of my ethos as a person, and it's why I left DC over the American way and want to preserve the spirit of comics, is men like you and the generation before you and before you and before you, you laid the groundwork for people like me so I could have a home and buy cars and pay for college and all those things for my kids, so I could have a job. You helped create this business, whether you had a small part or a big part. So that's why when you hit me up on Facebook, I was like, I remember that name.
Okay.
So thank you. I'll tell you to your face, thank you for what you did, you know.
So there's one of you. That's all.
Right. So what I know you mostly from is Ninja Turtles, and I'll bring out some of that artwork later. But let's go to the beginning of Mr. Frank Fosco. How did you fall in love with comic books? Do you remember a certain book, cartoon, movie?
Yeah,
do you remember which drawing it was?
Of course, Jack Kirby was the biggest influence in my life. But
okay.
My dad was collecting comic books. I would see him around the house. I was a little kid, and he used to read comic books to me. I remember sitting in the back porch, laying on the couch with him. He'd be reading the Flash comic book to me, and so I got kind of caught up in his little collection that he had, kind of like strewn around the house. It didn't have no collection like set in one spot or something like that. I mean, they were using them for coffee coasters and just like garbage, like their newspaper or something. But
yes,
I didn't know what they had. So, but anyway, that's where I first saw Fantastic Four, the Galactus trilogy, and that was like in the back porch, like out the window and stuff like that. Just not really knowing what you got, But Dad. Cool.
Shadowhawk Back says, sorry to interrupt you. I finally have a face to go with the name. Hail Frank. Hail's just kind of how we acknowledge each other in the community here, just so you know. So.
Cool. All right. Yeah, sorry. But my dad was a collector, and that's where I saw the early Fantastic Four. Well, when Joe Sinnott was inking the stuff, like in the 65, 66 and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the neighborhood kids were collecting comics and stuff like that too. So, and my dad was artistic. So he's painting like little pictures of murals on my wall. I got Daredevil, the Wally Wood cover of Daredevil #3.
Wow.
Standing on the ledge, kind of looking down at the Unholy 3.
Wow.
Batman, Domino from Wally Wood's creation. So yeah, Dad was painting stuff on the wall. So I was influenced by what he was doing. And then I saw comic books, and I saw this Jack Kirby, and I was like, I really like that stuff. And I was very artistic at a young age, So I took up on it, and just that's what I wanted to do. But my road getting into the business was kind of like a slow, meandering one, but eventually did some stuff,
Okay. So how old are you when your dad is reading you The Flash and you find the Galactus trilogy? What a way to get started, by the way. What fantastic comics. But about how old are we? talking like 7 or
5 or 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, Galactus was at 66. That would have been 10. 9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay.
But I remember him reading that Flash comic book to me. First comic book I ever drew was like taking the letter size paper and folding it in half, drawing it in crayon. And I used a cover from a Justice League cover. I guess my cover.
Do you still have it?
No.
I have a comic from when I was 12 I made with my brother called The Dragon Clan. I still have it in a desk not 10 feet away from here.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
I lost a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. We got a comment here just for you. Bootleg Godzilla 1 says, so cool to see Frank here. I'm a huge Ethereal fan. What is Ethereal? Educate me.
That's my character, Ethan. I created when I was a 14-year-old kid. My friend Ed Flores and I, we were in high school back in the. Look up Ethereal Warriors.
I'm looking real quick. I'm listening, but I'm also typing into Google here.
I can see that you were typing. You'll find Ether in Ethereal Warriors. But it's a character I created when I was a 17-year-old kid. Not 17, 14.
Right. Okay. Let me open this art that I found online, and maybe it's yours, and maybe isn't. Is this it? Damn it, Gabe. I have to add it to the stream. Hold on. Share screen, and then share this. Okay. Sorry about that. Is that it there?
No.
That is not it. Okay. They call themselves Ethereal Warriors. I'll keep
Ethereal Warriors. Wow. Okay. That came after.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to look up some people.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell me about it while I look for it? What was it exactly?
It was it has so many different incarnations of this character. I've never settled down. We finally settled down 1 year later, but his character I created with my friend Ed Flores back in the high school, Bloom High School in Chicago Heights, Illinois. And
oh wow,
yeah, and we were influenced by Kirby's New Gods. This is when Kirby went to DC. So this is early on Kirby at DC. There he is. That's
okay.
It. Yeah.
Yes, this is the best I could find in such a short time. But I see the New Gods influence there. He's got a little bit of like Orion had his little jet ski thing. Looks like our guy has a backpack here.
Yeah, backpack.
Right, he has like a flying jetpack or something like that. Yeah, Frank Fosco.
Oh yeah, that stuff there. Yeah, well, he had that's those are pages from the ongoing series that was done in Megaton Comics. You ever heard of Megaton Comics back in the 80s?
I heard of it because I think Eric Larson said that's where the first Savage Dragon stuff was.
Yeah, right. With his character, him and Gary Carlson's character Vanguard, and Eric introduced Dragon into the Vanguard storyline.
Okay, so before we get into how do you say it exactly? Ethereal?
Like E3N.
E3N.
Letter E, number 3, letter N. E3N. That's how I pronounce it.
Okay, so E3N seems like an early project of yours. Let's back up though. Did you go to college? Did you go to art school? How did you get your way into the comic book industry? Because all of us have similar but very specifically different stories. How did you get into professional illustration?
I'm self-taught.
Okay. Oh, I mean, how'd you start getting paid for it?
Well, yeah, doing the stuff for Gary Carlson, Megaton Comics.
Okay.
This stuff here, I think this is from Megaton. Yeah, right. This was supposed to be. We were doing backups of, it's an anthology book, Megaton Comics, and Ethereal was one of the anthology stories. There was like Megaton and Berserker and Ethereal, and this is where Rob Liefeld started off in the Megaton Comics too. Angel Medina, Eric.
I didn't know that. I didn't know all those guys started.
Oh, yeah. So, Ethereal, Megaton was the launching pad.
Okay, so that's the early '80s, right?
Yeah, early mid '80s. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So in the early '80s, I mean, I was born in '78. So if you were doing this stuff in like '83, '84, I would have been a kindergartner. So I don't think I would have been able to catch it because I was just a little too young.
Yeah.
To catch that stuff.
Yeah, if you look up the Megaton Comics, you'll see.
Right. Yeah, I remember reading in Savage Dragon, Eric Larson posting a lot of stuff from that. Right. Someone mentioned in the comments, hold on. Godzilla again, bootleg Godzilla 1, something big with Chuck Dixon. I just looked that up. I'm unaware of what it is, but this popped up. What is this, a convention? Is this what is this?
This is our digital from Arctoons.
Oh, Arctoons. Okay, you're doing those with Chuck currently?
This is the story that's called Something Big and Ongoing that I think we're.
Oh, is this the one where they're going underground, like they're digging underground? Oh, yes, that's right. You sent me that last week or the week before, and I read that. I'd forgotten about it because you remember why I had to cancel last week. So, but I don't want to get into that. But okay, so Something Big. How long have you been doing that? Are you having fun? And how long are you gonna tell me about it?
Well, episode 29 comes out tomorrow. And
Okay.
I'm working on episode 40 something, whatever. No, actually, it's episode 18 I'm working on, but they get divided, so they get split up. So 18 would probably be like 35 and 36 when they break them down for Arctoon.
Right.
This is all confusing, I know. But
no, I get it. You draw bigger segments, but then
right.
Archaven Comics or whatever chops them up smaller for their purposes.
Right.
Yeah. And where can people find that? Is that on archaven.com?
Archaven.com.
Okay. I'm going to throw that in the link for anyone who wants to check that out.
All right.
Yeah, I read some of those last week, and they were pretty interesting. It was really neat. It wasn't Mad Max, but it had that sort of vibe of like rebel people and a big nasty thing going on, and underground tunnels and giant worms, and it was Chuck Dixon for sure. You know, I worked with Chuck too, and I'm working with him again on some other stuff. So I like Chuck.
Cool. Yeah.
So you got in at Megaton, but can you go a little more granular for us? Can you go into more detail? Like how did you meet them? How did you talk to them? Did they reject you? Like how specifically did you start working at Megaton? Do you remember that?
Oh, let me see. I would go to conventions early on, like the first comic book convention in Chicago was at the Playboy Towers, and I met Stan Lee, and I was like, 19, 20 years old or something. It was, hey kid, you come out to New York, you got yourself a job.
Really?
Yeah, I was a naive kid, It's like I didn't take him up on it, but I called up over there and I talked to Archie Goodwin. He goes, Stan's just a PR man. Yeah, but before that, I went out to New York with my art teacher from Bloom High School.
Okay.
And we went to Marvel, we went to DC, we went to Warner Magazine. You heard of them, right? Yeah.
No, Warner Magazine must have been before my time.
Yeah, Creepy and Eerie magazines.
Oh, okay. They did that.
Yeah, Warner Books. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that's where, unbeknownst to me, that I found out years later, I think that's where Louise Simonson and Louise, I forgot what her last name was before she was Simonson.
Yeah.
But I think I met she worked over there at the Warner Books. But that was like 1975 or something.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. I was doing the groundwork, trying to get work. And I was just a young kid, and my art teacher went with me, and then my art teachers talked for me, and John Romita says, "Hey, can't the kid speak for himself?" The guy was doing all the talking for me,
That's New Yorkers for you. I'm from California. Well, I'm from Colorado, but I grew up in California, and it was something to meet the New Yorkers from DC Comics and all that. It's not rude. It's just they're straightforward.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
That's for sure. Bootleg Godzilla again with more great commentary. He says, I have 2 pages of Frank's art hanging in my living room. You got a super fan here. We found your super fan, Frank.
Okay, I don't know who that would be, but
yeah, would you mind telling us what those pages are?
Cool. It's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very cool. Okay, so you're going to the conventions. You're talking to Stan Lee. Your art teacher takes you to New York.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out, obviously, because
you know what? I was a partier and carrying on, and just not being, I wasn't being persistent enough.
Sure.
I always knew this is what I wanted to do, so it kept coming back to me. I go out and party, and it goes, I feel like drawing something, But what I did was I kept hitting conventions, and I hooked up with Rick Holberg, and I did a bunch of ghosting layouts for him on The Strangers.
Okay.
This is where I started getting into the business now. So he would work for my layouts, and my layouts were pretty tight. And I said, you know what? I sent them over to DC. All the copies of my layouts of what I did for The Strangers. I'll email them to you, show you what was going on. But or I'll post them on my page.
Sure.
So anyway, I sent them over to Mike Carlin. And then I give a week or two to go by, and I call him up to follow up on it. And he Mike Carlin here, and I said, I told him who I was, and he goes, well, we're pretty busy around here. It might take me like a month. I got stuff piled up over here. It might take me about a month or two to get back to you, but be patient. We'll get a hold of you. 5 minutes later, he calls me back because I drew his attention to it, So he's like, so he checked it out and he goes, "You want a job?"
Wow.
Yeah, so that was it. I did the Legionnaires number 13 and Superman Annual Elseworld number 6 or 5.
Okay. What year are we talking here exactly?
Huh?
What year do you know about?
94.
Oh, 94. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got in there kind of late, as far as.
Okay. Yeah.
This is going like, I'm kind of skipping a whole bunch of independent stuff I did before then with the Megaton.
Yeah. Okay. So let's touch on that, the independent stuff. Let's microwave a little bit past Megaton and all that. And Eric Larson is there. You're there. But so I'm assuming you start working with Eric Larson on his backup stories and Ninja Turtles because of your relationship at Megaton, correct?
Yeah. I got to know Eric through the Megaton stuff. Gary Carlson is the guy who was the publisher of the Megaton books. And Gary lived in the Chicagoland area, and I lived in the Chicagoland area. And I did a cover for a Triad magazine, the Triad radio station. They had a magazine, a free magazine, rock magazine. And I did my character Ethereal on their magazine.
Okay.
They asked me to do a superhero. They were probably thinking they're going to get back Spider-Man or some other thing, and because they were going to talk about Marvel and talk to Ralph Marcino, but that was more. So I did my character, and I should have sent you some stuff.
It's all right. I'm looking online for things like that as you mentioned it, but believe me, the story's more than enough. I'm getting it.
Oh yeah. So I did my character Ethan. And Gary Carlson saw this free magazine, and then he started hunting me down. He got a hold of me, and he told me about his Megaton project, and that's where I started, going professionally, doing work for him.
Okay.
Whether getting paid $20 a page or whatever. And it was our start, and I was getting to do my character.
Yeah, that sounds like amazing fun.
Yeah, and so we did this anthology book called Megaton with my character, and let's see, and then a few of us guys like went and made it into DC or Marvel, like Eric and Angel, right, and Rob Liefeld, and then they went into Image Comics after. Doing our work up until mid-90s or early 90s early 90s.
Yeah, Image Comics. I think today, I saw Will Sportasio posted online, today is the 30th anniversary of Image being founded or whatever, actually.
Today is?
I saw that on Facebook. I don't know if it's true. You see a lot of stuff on Facebook. But it was Will Sportasio's account, and he's one of the founders.
Oh, yeah.
So,
right.
So either way, 2022 is the 30th year. Maybe it's not today, but he said it was the 30th year for sure. Yeah. What was that like, being Eric's friend? And Megaton is small. You guys aren't famous. You're not making a lot of money. What was it like when he catapulted to? He's already on Spider-Man.
Yeah, you know what, Gabe? It was like I was starting to do some good stuff for DC, and they were paying attention. They were liking what I was doing, but I don't know if I rubbed some people the wrong way or Jeanette Kahn or whatever. I have no idea. But all of a sudden, the work got less. Right. I was doing mostly fill-in stuff or like checking me out type stuff, seeing what kind of pace I could keep or what I could do. So maybe I dropped the ball somewhere, but I did a couple issues of Steel. It was all like fill-in stuff. Mike Rowingo took off from Robin a couple issues. I did Robin. That's where I started working with Chuck. That's where.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the Contagion story. Remember this Contagion storyline with Robin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was the first thing I did with Chuck was the Robin story.
Okay.
And then I did a couple issues of Robin. After that, the Robin story. The first one with Chuck, the Robin story, was in the Batman Chronicles.
Okay, very cool. Let me catch up on this real quick, and then we'll keep going on the timeline there. Bootleg Godzilla, again, he's answering the question. Of your artwork, he has an unused Megaton page and a page from Ethereal Warriors with Ethereal versus Vanguard are the pages he has. And he also he's giving clues here. He used to meet up with you and Gary and Chris Becker years ago. Not sure Frank knows my name, but he knows my face. Ooh, creepy or funny?
I found a long time ago, maybe.
Yeah, so Bootleg Godzilla is a friend of yours, apparently, or former friend.
I probably know who it is. You can direct message me your name if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Godzilla Bootleg. What's his name?
Bootleg Godzilla 1. Oh, and Mark Pengrin is confirming Image's official account tweeted it was today. So it is today, the 30th. So
what a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's quite a thing. So okay, so where were we before I read the comments? We were talking about Eric going over to Image, and that was just crazy. And then DC kind of cooled off on you. Didn't sound too great.
Yeah.
How did that feel as a freelancer when the phone quit ringing? Like, were you just going crazy?
You know what? Because I was I was feeling things out, and I can kind of see that things weren't going as smoothly as they were at first with DC. So then Eric comes up to me, or sends Gary and I an email, or how do we communicate back then? We're talking like early 90s.
Smoke signals.
Yeah. Telephone. Remember those? Before the cell phone. But because it wasn't my email.
Right.
We started communicating, and he asked us how we'd feel about doing a turtle book for Image Comics, because Mirage, was canceling their books, and they wanted to keep the book going. So they asked Eric. I guess Eric had some connection with some Image guys or Mirage guys.
Right.
Mirage Image,
And for those that don't know, Mirage wasn't that Kevin Eastman's studio that was publishing Ninja Turtles and some other stuff? Yeah.
So Eric asked Gary, and then Gary asked me, and then the next thing you know, we're doing Turtle comics.
Yeah, I remember being really excited about those because I wasn't a big fan of the Mirage books only because they were black and white. I know that's a silly reason. In my defense, I was a kid. Yeah. But so I was really glad that Eric was going to have them. I hope I'm not getting this wrong, but they were in color, weren't they? I remember them being in color. I could be wrong.
No, that might. You know what? Mirage kind of canceled what they were doing, but Peter Laird. I wonder if they had it sold by. It wasn't sold by them, was it?
Who knows? I mean, we're talking near 30 years ago.
Yeah. Somewhere Nickelodeon came in there and bought the Turtles.
Yeah. Oh, Bootleg Godzilla. He says his name is Tom, and he doesn't care. He knows Tom.
I know Tom.
That's one. Frank, isn't that great? A great thing about the internet. I think you'd agree that I don't even know you, but I remember your art and I loved it as a kid. So I bring you on my show, and then an old friend of yours gets to say hi to you. And that's fantastic.
Hey, Tom, how you doing, brother?
Little things like that are fantastic. So hey, Tom, thanks so much for being here and saying hi to Frank. So, because Frank hasn't worked a lot in the business lately, but we didn't forget him. I didn't forget him. You didn't forget him.
My camera here. What's going on with my camera?
It's out of focus, but it'll refocus. Let's see.
Let's see.
Who knows? There you go.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Here's a nice comment, though. Anthony Gonzalez Clark says, Chuck Dixon introduced me to your art with Avalon. Instant fan, enjoying something big. At the time, I didn't know you were the artist for the Image Turtles. So there you go. There you go.
I got all my different styles.
Let me ask you this. This is controversial, but I'm going to judge you based on this answer, Frank. I know we just met. Who? You better not get this wrong. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? You better not. Come on. Who is it?
Oh, man.
You're on the spot.
I really couldn't tell you, man.
Really?
You know what? As far as we mixed them up, Gary and I, we really mixed them up as far as having their own look and individual. Well, it used to be. I mean, they're doing that now. Even they all have their own individual look with the what they were doing over at IDW and stuff with their ongoing series there.
Yeah.
But it used to be you draw one turtle, you draw them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they used to all be red originally.
Yeah, but basically all the same size, same faces, just different weapons. That's all.
So you don't have a favorite, huh? Were you just being
maybe Raph.
Oh, good.
Because it's kind of cool things that we did with them in the Image run.
That's my favorite one. If anyone says Michelangelo, I don't like Michelangelo that much.
Yeah.
So, and I think oh, look, we got a Donatello lover in the crowd.
Oh,
Glitch, sorry. I'm not big on Donatello. He's a bookworm. He's a nerd.
You know what? And we turned Donatello into a cyborg, and man, oh man, you think we kick the family's pet or something?
Oh. Well, I mean, people read this stuff for years and they grow a real emotional attachment to it.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about comics and art and the things we do and the frivolous nature of it. And there is that to a degree, but this stuff is also so important for the lessons and the values that it teaches us as people. Because I think as human beings, we understand things best through stories instead of just through cold facts. Right. Stories give us emotional context.
Yeah.
And when we see characters being heroic, as little boys, we say to ourselves, oh, I could be heroic. I could be brave when something is scary. Like it clicks in your head when you watch people do it. So it is frivolous. It is talking turtles on one hand, but on the other hand, it's a real beautiful thing to inspire people.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if I ever got inspired that way, but I mean, what inspired me was the artwork and the storytelling. And that's the part that I like, the craft of it,
Absolutely. When you're do you go into the zone when you're drawing and everything's just coming out of your hand perfectly? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I used to do like thumbnails and layouts and stuff like, separate. I just go straight to the boards now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm tired of wasting time, I just go to the boards and go, I'll keep erasing until that's not it. And then, until I find it, it's in there somewhere.
Right. Yeah, it's like marble. It's like carving the figure out of the marble. Eventually, you're going to find it if you just keep working it.
Yeah. Man.
So, you sent me some PDFs here of some of these Turtles comics, the recent ones from IDW. Now, I probably shouldn't show too much because I don't want the copyright people to say, "Hey, you showed the whole book on your stream."
Yeah.
But I'll open this up here. So what is the deal with the recent work you did at IDW? Because you were on Ninja Turtle stuff way back in the 90s, right? And then IDW wanted to finish out an unfinished story. You were telling me something about it. Do you want to clear that up for me?
Right. So you see this is issue 25.
Right.
We finished up. We got canceled at issue 23.
Okay.
When we at Image. So 20 years later, IDW picks it up and is going to reprint it. It was in black and white at Image. IDW picks it up, reprints it all in color, and they gave Gary and I a chance to finish up the story with the 3 issues.
That's awesome.
With all new material. So that's like a couple years old. 24, 20. Yeah, that's an old.
Yeah, let me see if the signature. I'm trying to see if there's a year on. Do you remember what year this was? It was just recently, right?
Right here in front of me.
Huh?
Let's see. Oh. Yeah, let's see. That's a couple years, I think.
I think it was 18 or 19. I'm guessing though.
Oh man, I need some more.
I'll look at some of these and see if we see a date on one of these.
We're at 2000 and what? Yeah. Excuse me, Gabe. Take a look over here.
No, it's all right. Okay, I looked in the credits on the bottom of this one. It said 2020 on it.
Yep.
So, okay. Probably should have researched that before the show. My fault.
2020.
Hey, it's a free show. Don't complain, people. We got a question from the great Tari Owe. He's one of our moderators, and he's a fan. He's here all the time for years with me on YouTube. Tari says to Frank, question for Frank. Wanted to know what's new with Ethereal.
Not too much.
Not too much.
We might be reprinting the stuff from the old Megaton days with that being with all new material to finish up the storyline.
Oh, well, great minds think alike. Because Bootleg Godzilla said just that. Would be awesome to see an E3 and Omnibus reprinting the Megaton stuff.
Yeah, this would be the Megaton stuff.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So I did want to ask you a question, and this is a little inside baseball. So you work on Ninja Turtles. It gets canceled at 23 or whatever. And then 20 years later, you go back to it. Was it like riding a bike? Was it like, I know these characters, I know Gary, I know, and it just worked? Or was it like...
Well, going to conventions, that's the one thing I drew the most of, was turtles.
Right.
I always, the commissions at the conventions. Draw me a turtle, draw me Donatello, draw Redfield. So, or draw me the turtles with the different color masks, or they would like the image turtles with Donatello as the cyborg and stuff like that. But yeah, so I really didn't lose. Kind of kept pace with them throughout the years because of all the conventions and stuff, and I was mostly at. And so when someone would ask me to draw something else besides the turtles, oh, cool, man, something different.
Okay.
You want me to draw the thing? All right, sweet. I can draw the thing.
You're not saying you were sick of drawing Ninja Turtles. You just had your fill.
Yeah, well, it was something like that. Yeah.
No, I think, I've always thought you were a great artist for Ninja Turtles because they're a gritty lower than street level. They're in the sewer. They're below street level if we want to be serious about it. But they're just a gritty, dirty, rough and tumble guys with the elbow pads and the hand weapons.
Yeah.
And your style, it looks that way to me. It's gritty. It's like got scratchy marks and stuff. And I always thought you were a perfect fit for that. So when you were, let's go back to the 90s, when you first started on it, were you intimidated? Because they've got this movie, they've got the action figures, they got the cartoons. Were you like, nope, like I'm working on Ninja Turtles? Or were you just like, it doesn't matter. I'm Frank, I'm a badass. How did it feel when you started?
Yeah, it was kind of like it, I was kind of like with trepidation, kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll do the Turtles. Why not? Because what? I hate to say this. I don't know how this gets out or what this sounds like, but it was almost like as if you were working in the biz with one of the big two at the time, DC or Marvel, and then you go over to go do some Turtles, and it almost like you get from people, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Really?
Yeah, that kind of thing. It was almost like they were sorry for it because they was almost like it was weird at that time.
Huh.
Yeah, it was
strange. That's a strange thing because what was bigger than Ninja Turtles in the mid 90s?
They're even bigger. They were reciprocal, They were great, and then they leveled off and kind of died away.
Yeah, you're right. They have had about 2 or 3 lives.
Yeah, and they came back, and now they're. But yeah, it was a weird thing, But and my kids, I kind of had fun drawing because my kids would like me to. I got 2 sons and I got some grandkids and stuff, and I would draw turtles for them, and then for my sons, and when they came to me with to Gary and I about doing the turtles, you know what? That was kind of cool. Being able to do our own thing with them. We kind of turned them on their head, comparatively speaking, compared to all the other turtle stories or what was going on. I mean, when we did them, the turtles were like maybe 16 years old.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah.
What they're.
Yeah, I think I've worked on everything under the sun, but the one property I've never worked on that I really wanted, because I've worked on Star Wars, I've worked on Ghostbusters, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman. I've worked on, if you can think of it, I've worked on it, but I haven't worked on Ninja Turtles. Wow. And I live right by IDW. Like they were a freeway exit from my house. Okay. IDW literally was like a freeway exit away. They moved further south in San Diego. They're still here though, right by me. And I know those guys. I work for Tom Waltz and Chris and Frisco and all those guys. They're great guys down there. So that's a regret of mine that I haven't worked on Ninja Turtles. Maybe someday. I
met Kevin quite a few years ago, and I'm going to do the Lexington Con.
Okay.
March. And Kevin is supposed to be there, so maybe I'll hang out with Kevin, see how he's doing.
Very cool. They built
if I can get in his presence.
Right. They built so in San Diego, we have like former barracks, and they turned it into apartments and restaurants and a strip mall and all that. It's called Liberty Station. Okay. And right there in Liberty Station, IDW and like Kevin Eastman joined together, and they kind of built a comic book museum and all that. And there's a bunch of Ninja Turtle art and all kinds of stuff there.
That's cool.
So if you ever get out here for San Diego Comic Con and all that, you should go down there and check that out. Yeah, Liberty Station. It's only like a couple freeway exits from the San Diego Comic Con. If you're down at the convention center, it's very close to it. So it's very cool.
I've been to the San Diego Con one time. I think that was in 2011.
2011 is the only time you did, huh?
Yeah. It was so ridiculously overly huge. It's like, come on, man. You know what? Eric Larson had me over there as a guest, and I couldn't sit with him at the table, and I couldn't get a chair. And we're there for 4 or 5 days, and it's like I'm basically standing up, walking around. And Liefeld gave me his table to go sit at, but
Right.
because he wasn't at his table very much.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to every San Diego Comic Con since '96, except for
it wasn't much of a thrill for me.
No, you didn't like it. That's all right. It's not for everyone. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
To say the least. Oh man. Okay, so let me I said I regret that I've never worked on Ninja Turtles professionally. What have you not worked on that would be a dream job for you? If you were gonna you get the phone rings today and they say you could do your own stuff, E3N, or you could do Superman, or what would it be?
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. Okay.
Yeah, that would, but you know what? I'm kind of like set in the old Kirby 60s way.
Sure.
If I could revisit that, like the Untold Tales, or
oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we did do World's Greatest Comic Magazine. Did you see that from Marvel?
Probably. I mean,
it was a 40th anniversary series of the Fantastic Four.
Okay, this would have been what, like 2001 or something, or
2001.
Okay,
it was a 12-issue series.
Okay,
and who did Eric Larson's idea, and Eric presented it to them, and I did the second most artwork in it. It's not exactly the way I would have put it together, because they had all these different artists and all these different, everybody trying to do their best Kirby. It was a tribute to Stan and Jack and the Fantastic Four. And Chuck wrote some stories for it, and Eric Larson was doing layouts.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now. World's Greatest Comic Magazine. I'm making sure I can drag this over to the other screen, making sure there's nothing naughty on here. When you do a Google search, sometimes something weird will pop up that has nothing to do with what you're looking for.
Right.
But I feel safe. But are we talking about this book here?
Yes.
World's Greatest. I know it's a little small. You have to forgive me.
Sorry. But, there's another one.
Yeah. Did you do any of these covers?
I didn't do any covers.
But you did a ton of the interior.
Loss.
Okay.
They had me do the covers.
Very cool. Very cool.
So it was like four different artists per issue with inkers, 4 different inkers, teams, and I did like 4 issues out of 12, 6 pages in the story, and then Ron Friends probably did the majority of the work because he's Ron Friends.
Right. Did you get to write any of that Fantastic Four?
No.
So you were just, who was your writer? Was it Gary or who was it?
Fantastic Four. They had all different writers. Eric was plotting the stuff. Him and Stevenson, what's his name? The Stevenson from Eric Stevenson.
Okay. Before he was running
plotting the stories, but it was mine and Eric's idea. Eric and I were bouncing around ideas what we would like to see. We were talking about Command and this and that, and then we were talking about Fantastic Four. And then Eric presents it to Marvel, and this is the only thing I ever did for Marvel. And they let me be part of it. They threw me a bone because it was partly my idea.
Right.
A lot of my idea, actually.
Yeah.
And I would have done a whole. If it was up to me, I would have drawn it, and Eric would have inked it or something like that. The whole
series. Yeah. Leg Kick 1, a great fan. He's always here. And I want to thank all the chat for being here. Bootleg Godzilla and Tari and Glitch, American Comics Company, all kinds of great fans here. Thank you so much for watching. And we can get to know Frank because he did some great work and he's still capable of doing a lot of great work. Leg Kick says, I bought those issues. A lot of fun. So you got a fan there on your Fantastic Four. That's fantastic.
The good stuff I made in those books.
Yeah. I don't know about this comment. But maybe you do, Frank. Leg Kick is saying kind of what Byrne is doing with the X-Men.
I heard about that.
Is Byrne doing something new with the X-Men?
I heard he was he was doing some stuff that he was going to present to Marvel and that he wanted to get printed, but I guess that fell through or something like that. But he's still continuing to do it as a series just for his own enjoyment.
That's fun. That's crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's weird to me that he went away from comics, but I guess he's an older gentleman now, right? He's in his 70s.
70s, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he doesn't want to work full time in comics.
60s, so,
I mean, what else does a guy like that have left to prove? You know what I mean?
He's probably relaxing, in his retirement and just able to draw. You know, I mean, if
Yeah.
I would do Fantastic Four. I mean, I got you posted something about drawing on butcher paper.
Yes.
I got page after page on butcher paper.
It's the best. I'll tell you. You tell me where you got yours from, but I'll tell you where I got mine from first. My grandparents had a Mexican restaurant for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I would sit in the back before I went to kindergarten. I had nowhere to go all day, so I'd hang out at the restaurant. And I'd just pull out the butcher paper and draw Star Wars battles on it. This is 1982, 1983. I'm a little guy here. Where'd you get your butcher paper?
I can't remember where I got it from. Somebody gave me this roll of butcher paper. Might have been a supermarket or something, you know.
Right.
But I can't even remember where I got it from. But I had this, and I did page after page. It was great stuff to work on.
It is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, there's something about it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, it's funny. David Williams, the drawing Just American Way, he's
Yeah, Gabe. We lose you?
Oh, damn it. Am I still here or did I go away?
You went away for a little bit.
Okay, I was trying to not take that call. I'll have to call Dave back. He doesn't know I'm on the air. It's funny, I mentioned him and then he called me instantly.
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre.
So wait a minute. I should mention someone I want to call me with like free money or something. So then I was talking to Cindy Crawford and she had a truckload of gold doubloon.
Hey, phone's ringing.
Come on. No, but Dave Williams was telling me he would draw on butcher paper from his grandpa.
Yeah.
So and then Gary Martin, you know Gary Martin, he inked Nexus and everything. He drew on butcher paper when he was a kid.
You can print off that stuff.
So I mean, everyone is butcher paper. You know, that's the mark of a true artist is butcher paper.
Butcher paper.
Let me catch up on the chat, please, Mr. Fosco. Should I call you that? No, that feels weird calling you that. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just made you 20 years older when I did that. Tari, one of our best fans here. I met you Frank. I met you once when I went to a convention in New Orleans. I'm not sure you remember me. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
I met a whole bunch of people. You know what? If I saw you, I might be, man, you look familiar to me.
Yeah. Oh, here's a question for you. American Comics Company asks, does Frank Fosco have a YouTube or a Twitter?
No.
I put his Facebook in the description, guys. Okay. And I also put a link to Truth, Justice, and American Way. Frank, would you indulge me and let me show my book for just 1 second?
Please do.
And I want to ask you what you think of my book and my position and all that. And I know it's talking about myself, so if you don't want to do that, we don't have to. But that's how I got your attention, I guess.
Yeah.
And let me see this here real quick. Here's some art from the great David Williams.
Oh, Dave's awesome.
Of these characters. We have Truth, Justice, and American Way. I colored this up the other day, and I finished coloring some more stuff on these characters, and it is outrageous what Dave is doing. It's just beautiful work that he's doing.
Great, yeah.
And this is your X-Men, your Fantastic Four, your Avengers, your Justice League. This is your classic superhero team action, and it's just it's fun. It's that feeling you had when you were 10, 11, 12, or maybe you were you're in your dad's lap and he's reading The Flash to you. Yeah. Frank, it's that feeling of when comics caught your imagination and inspired you.
Right.
That's what we're shooting for here.
Yeah.
So for any of you coming in late, the link, I'll throw the link into the chat really quick. And if you wouldn't mind, sign up for the mailing list. That would be fantastic. And if you get on the mailing list, you get access to the latest news and information when we're going to launch on President's Day, the Indiegogo campaign for this. And you could get an exclusive trading card. So let me bring up that. The link is in the. Go ahead.
So you guys got that much work done, the book already? You able to launch it?
Oh yeah, he's starting pages already. But the way Indiegogo works is the fans, they're funding you.
Okay,
to make the book, but they're funding you as an artist, as a person.
Right.
So you have the money to work on it full time.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, you haven't got books complete. You're just in the process.
Yeah, we're in the process. But I have the full script plotted, not written. But I wrote the first fight scene so Dave would have something to draw. So we'll have something to show before we launch.
All right.
I just put the link in the chat so you guys can click on that and please subscribe to the mailing list. So one other thing, and then we'll get back to Ninja Turtle talk and all that stuff. My daughter put this together for me the other day. This awesome video. right here. She made it on her cell phone of all things. But check this out real quick.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, no, wrong button. Come on, Gabe. Don't be a boomer. All right, so
Cool.
I got to bring you back. I screwed this up. Okay, there we are.
How long you been doing
Okay. I'm sorry. Say it again now.
So how long you been doing this?
How long have I been as an artist or just comics or what part are we talking about?
Thing you're doing.
Oh, this book? I was
YouTube. How long you been doing YouTube? And you with Gabe and your guests?
I started doing it a few years ago, but since I worked for the mainstream companies, I was muzzled. So the channel wasn't nearly what I thought it could be because I was inauthentic. I wasn't me. It wasn't my personality. I just had to be censored. Like stuff would come up, questions would get.
Yeah.
You know how Hollywood is, right? I had to be Hollywood.
You're self-censoring yourself. Yeah.
Right. I was self-censoring because I was taking a check from Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was through one time.
Yeah. And it just kept getting more and more woke and more anti-American and more anti just what I stand for. And I just had to have a look in the mirror one day and tell myself, is this who you want to be? Is the money worth compromising everything you believe in? And I talked to my dad about it. You know, I talked to my dad about it in September. And I tell him, Dad, I don't want to teach kids this stuff. I don't want to teach them America sucks or they suck because they're white. And I'm not even a white guy. I'm not sticking up for white people because I'm not being biased sticking up for white people because I'm not white. But I know racism is wrong no matter what color you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And saying that men suck and like, no, they don't suck. And women don't suck.
Who determines this stuff? Somebody who's coming up and sitting at some kind of round table determining, okay, what can we make bad this time? Or,
right.
It's almost like they're becoming their own Puritans.
Yeah, they are. It's like a perversion of weird anti-puritanical Puritans. Like, if you don't think something degenerate, then we were going to burn you at the stake. If it's good, they hate it. If it's traditional, they hate it.
What's good?
And I'm at the point where I don't care. I'm moving on from that. I'm not going to be spitting blood and screaming and angry at these people anymore. I talked to my partner, David Williams, the illustrator for this, and he says,
Dave's got the same feelings about this stuff.
Right. Dave feels like I do, but he says to me, Gabe, forget the rage, forget the anger. Let's show people what we love.
Exactly.
And why it's great. And let me remove, I'm sorry, I got to remove that from there. And let's show people what we love. This is what we love and why it's awesome, why it should be preserved, why it should be revered and respected. I think when you say things like America is exceptional, dumb people think that you're being bigoted and prejudiced and America's better than everyone. When I say America's exceptional, I'm revering it. I'm respecting it and appreciating what has been given to me as a gift.
Right.
So that's all loving the country's about to me. It's not ha ha ha, I'm better than you because you're Canadian or something. Like that's just more bigotry. That's nonsense to me.
Yeah.
So I didn't consider myself an overly patriotic person, but I guess I am. So
nothing wrong with being patriotic, because if you're not going to be patriotic, the alternative is, it seems like it's going to be globalism. And
right.
That's what that's what's driving everything. The Great Reset or whatever they're trying to do.
Well, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work because I know that when I walked away from a childhood dream of working for Jim Lee, he was my favorite artist since I was 12. He personally hired me. I'm working on Superman. Frank, I'm just going to say this. I made 6 figures a year coloring. I colored that many books. Wow. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
and
cool.
I walked away from that. Yeah. I walked away with a mortgage for this house right here. I'm pointing at my own ceiling. I walked away from that with a mortgage and just trusted God and quit trusting myself, quit trusting Warner Brothers and all that. Quit being a coward, quit being a chicken. And if anyone out there sees me and hears this, it's like, no, this is how we win. Not by calling them idiots or saying feminists or fat and ugly and stupid and all that funny stuff we like to say. Yeah. We win by living right and showing people why the things we believe in have value and why it's good for them and us.
Yeah.
That's how we win.
Don't need to degrade down to that level. I mean, It's just amazing to me how the supposedly tolerant ones that they're supposed to be aren't the ones. They're very intolerable.
Right. Right. Yeah, that whole open-minded progressive thing, it's no, they're not tolerant at all.
Yeah.
Like I have friends,
Yeah.
I had to hide who I was completely from DC Comics after Trump won because they went insane. He broke their brains. And but they didn't have to hide from me who they were. I knew who they were. I knew what they believed, and I was still willing to work with them and respect them and do great work.
Yeah, that can't be done though. Yeah, that's where that intolerant, the tolerable intolerant ones. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I did one on Eisner in the 2017 Batman Annual, working with Tom King. I know Tom King's politics. I don't think I agree with one letter, let alone one word he believes in politically, but I still did a fantastic job on the because I'm a professional, and that's what we're supposed to do. But not to contradict myself, but eventually it got to the point where, okay, those aren't his personal politics anymore. Now it's infested all the books, and now I'm teaching a little Black kid or a gay kid or some minority kid that they're inferior because of the identity politics.
Right.
You're a white guy, I'm not, and they can make fun of you, but they can't make fun of me. Well, that's racist against me and you. The reason it's racist against me is it implies that I'm weak and I can't take the joke, but you can.
Yeah.
And that's BS. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff has to stop. And I know this. I haven't done the research. Most people agree with us, Frank. They just don't want to say anything. They don't want trouble.
Yeah. Well, the powers that be are the ones that, they might be a minority, but they're the ones that got the power, the control.
Right.
They're the ones in the places of media and, they're gonna, the majority is, like you're saying, what you and I to and believe, But,
I'm sure if we picked every political issue, you and I, Frank, and we wrote down what we thought, you and I would disagree about some stuff. Mm-hmm. But in general, as Americans, don't we all agree that we're entitled to the pursuit? That means hard work, the pursuit of happiness, and to be left alone.
Yeah,
leave me alone. You don't want to hear me say this.
The other side don't want to leave you alone. We want to be left alone. They don't want to leave you alone.
Right.
I got to have people to control.
Right. Yeah, and that's the weird thing. Like, I'm busy running my own life. I don't want to run yours and mine. That's crazy.
Yeah, too much energy, man. What the heck? Who's determining this stuff?
It reminds me of Lisa Simpson from The Simpsons. She seems like just a rebellious kid for the sake of rebelling. Mm-hmm. She's like a vegan for just no apparent reason, just because her dad likes meat, and and she's portrayed as the thoughtful, smart one, but really, it's just self-worshipping nonsense. So someone's addressing me in the chat. Let me see this. Leg Kick 1 asks, are these comics you're doing, like Truth, Justice, American Way, a continuous story or a one-shot? Both. We're going to come out with a 64-page full-color graphic novel of this, Dave, Gary Martin, and I. And then we have a second and a third for sure. And if it does good enough, if enough people get on the mailing list and enough people buy the book and support it and all that, we want to do interstitial stuff in between. I would like to do a solo issue with just Justice because I'm falling in love with that character. Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed. I've told you everyone loves this. Dave came up with this concept of on his gun it says easy way, and on his nightstick it says hard way.
Easy way, hard way.
Yeah, you get exactly that. So I would love to delve into Justice. I really love his story, and I'm not going to share his story yet. But yes, these are standalone stories, so you can buy the book and enjoy the whole thing. Picture it like the first 3 Star Wars movies. You can watch A New Hope, and you don't have to watch the rest, or you can watch Empire and Jedi, and then it's one big story. So that's how we're structuring it. After. Say that again, Frank. I talked over you.
Avoid all the stuff after, all the Disney ones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the Disney Star Wars. Bootleg Godzilla is addressing me. You're
woke. No. Anyway, go ahead.
and we won't go woke. I promise not to go woke. And I'm not going to be a demagogue from the right side either. I'm not going to be liberals or morons, and that's my comic.
This just makes fun stories.
Not that hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what Frank did. I'm going to do what Frank did on Ninja Turtles. Just fun. Just adventure.
I'm blurred again.
Right. I don't know why you keep blurring.
I don't either, man. It's like I got to find out what's going on with this thing.
Who knows? It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Maybe there's a little bit of, is there schmutz on there, like grease or something? Could be that.
Maybe it's just my greasy face.
Bootleg Godzilla asks or says, I think to me, your Comicsgate book is easily going to do 6 figures, Gabe. Well, thank you for the confidence.
Yeah, that sounds
awesome. You'll be making more doing 2 or 3 books a year instead of 30 or 40 books. Yes, I did make 6 figures working in the mainstream. I did color 30-something books a year. That is insane. I cannot straighten out that finger or that one. That's how they go. It doesn't hurt. I can straighten it out by doing that, but it does. And
what's that from? From
curling my hand and drawing all day. You hold your hand like this and draw all day, and never open your hand. Then I guess it kind of did that. But it could be a little bit genetic, because my dad told me one of his aunts, her finger ended up that way, both of her pinkies.
All right.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's something to do with the tendons or something, but it didn't happen until I started working in comics all the time.
Oh,
so
gnarly.
Yeah. So let me just look through here real quick. The chat. How long until we get the book? Just curious. Well, I'm not going to say a date yet, but Dave is drawing like the first page. He's starting today, and Dave is not slow or anything. He doesn't blow deadlines. And Gary Martin literally wrote the book on inking. The Dark Horse Guide to Inking was literally written and illustrated by Gary Martin. He's a legendary inker in this business for nearly 40 years. So you've got, between Dave Williams, myself, and Gary Martin, you have like almost 90 years of professional comic book experience. So we're going to deliver a top flight product, and it's going to be on time. Get on the mailing list, and you'll start to know more. Okay. And I'm going to be sending out the first emails tomorrow to the mailing list. So get on there. Tell your friends to get on there. So but let's get back to Frank, because I appreciate the questions from me, and I appreciate Frank letting me show my book. But I want to know more about Frank's stuff. Where were we, Frank? I don't even know where we were.
That's cool. Anyway.
So, let me ask you this, since we're talking about my new projects and this and that, what do you have coming? Anything? You got any plans or anything you thinking about doing?
I would, if I can get back to it, I would like to finish up my Ethereal storyline. But meantime, I'm just doing this thing with Chuck, this something big digital story. So, and that's pretty much tying up my work stuff right now. I mean, I would like to do an Indigo project if it were possible, but I don't know. Are you working on the Two-Fisted Manly Giant?
I think so. I had talked to Graham about coloring Dave Williams' story, but I don't know if I'm doing that. So that's Graham would have to answer that. We haven't spoken about that because he's been in promotion mode. Right. But it was mentioned a while ago, so I might.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of cool promoting with the Manly movie stars holding up the book and stuff.
Oh, I love that. Maybe I have another show I do on Wednesday nights, and we haven't had a guest yet. But maybe someday, if you'd like, I could have you guest on there, because my buddy Shanth and Jetty, he loves all this stuff too. But we were talking about Death Wish, and we were talking about you've seen Death Wish, right?
I've seen that years ago, back in the 70s.
I saw it for the first time 3 weeks ago. I've now seen like 15 Charles Bronson movies.
You watch Once Upon a Time in the West?
Oh, love that. Love that.
Just all the little theme songs for every character.
Right. I just watched it again 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
3 nights ago, I watched it again. And he's there with the harmonica. And that opening sequence at the train station is so intense. It's insane. Yeah. One of the greatest American movies ever made. One of the greatest movies ever made, period. So, we got a question for you directly, Frank. What was the best part of working on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? If you could boil it down to one thing, what was so much? What do you cherish the most about that?
The check.
The check. Hey, he's honest, folks.
No, used to be when I would put a book together, I would do like thumbnails. I would get like 20 pages or 10 pages on a single piece of paper. And then I would enlarge that. All this process, this mundane, monotonous process.
Right.
Where those last 3 issues, I just drew straight on the board.
You know what, Dave? What Dave Williams turned me on to? Light boxing at full size. So what we do? Yeah, let me grab it. Instead of doing small thumbs, get cheap comic book size typing paper, and then just like lay out your forms here, flip it literally on a light box and straighten it out and balance it and all that. And just keep flipping it and erase this one after you draw it. And oh my, it changed my life of drawing last week. I've been doing that all last week and today.
So that's to straighten up all the weird looking.
Yeah, if anything, it's like crooked or the structure's off.
That's how it works.
Yeah, flipping it on the light. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
My buddy, I was doing Christian comic books with Nate Butler in New Mexico. I lived in New Mexico for 14 months.
Okay.
And he had a license to do Muppet Babies.
Oh, wow.
So he would do that procedure that you're talking about, flipping, flopping, because that was so licensed stuff that had to be exact.
Yes, that's where Dave told me it comes from, because Dave worked at Cartoon Network for years.
Yeah.
Doing character design on like Ben 10 and Superman, Batman.
Right.
Dave worked there for years at Cartoon Network, and he told me the light boxing is how it works. Do you know who Dan Panosian is? The old inker for, and you know he's like a master cover artist now.
Oh, yeah, Dan's awesome.
You know where he learned his skills? Do you know who was his tutor? And he'll tell you this.
Who's that?
It was Dave Williams.
Okay.
Dave Williams got Dan Panosian a job there, like at Cartoon Network or whatever, and Dan wasn't good enough. And Dave taught him the light box flip over, just keep flipping and erasing and flipping and erasing. Draw, and he said that Dan blossomed into this illustrator because what happened to me last week working that way, where I draw it on one side, then I flip it and trace it, then I erase the other one and flip it and trace it and flip it and try to keep honing my work. What happens is you start seeing the mass in 3D like you've never seen it before.
Right.
I'm 43 years old and I've never seen the mass in my mind this way before. Yeah. And I can start to see the shapes extruding. It's amazing. Right. But that's what Dave told me, that he was the big tutor for Dan Panosian.
Yeah. You're making me conscious now. Self-conscious. I'm afraid to put my stuff on a light table.
Do it. When you put your stuff on the light table, it happens. It's like the faces are crooked and it's all like, oh, that's what's wrong with the drawing.
Yeah. You see, well, what the heck's all that distortion, man?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I've been doing that for a week and I'll never go back. I'll never go back to not using the light
for
table.
A week, huh? This is something new to you.
I've owned the light table for 20 years, but I barely use it.
Yeah. Well,
Dave said, no, you use it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, as good as Dave is, he uses his all the time.
Yeah. So he's flipping. Oh, yeah, that's that animation thing. He's an awesome artist. I really like Dave's stuff.
He's a better man than that. He's become a very good friend and mentor of mine. I like to tease him that he's old because I'm 43, but he's like 55. So, I'll call him grandpa or something like that. But he's a good man. I'm a Christian. He's a Christian too. So we talk about God a lot. And we talk 3-4 times a day sometimes on the phone. He'll call me a bunch.
I'm a born again believer.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's good. It's good to have a brother in Christ.
I'm Lord and Savior, man.
That's right. I'll never be ashamed.
And we got a discerning spirit so we can detect the times and see what's going on.
That's right. That's right.
That'll put people's head on tilt that aren't believers because they think you're some kind of nutbag.
That's okay. They're allowed to think what they want. They can think.
See?
One thing I want to get clear, because I do talk about God all the time. I'll talk about it on Ethan's show or whatever. I don't think I'm better than you. If you're out there in the audience, you're not a Christian or whatever, you disagree, that's okay with me. You're a free human being. You got a free will. I'm a sinner with a capital S. I do not think I'm better than you. So that's how I look at it. So.
If you ever get a chance, watch Andrew Farley.
Who's that?
He's got the grace message. He's a pastor that's got the grace message.
Okay.
You got to understand grace. You'll realize you're really not a sinner. You're a Christian that sins.
You know what I mean. I don't want anyone to think I'm superior.
Like the alcoholic saying, who's been sober for 30 years and keeps saying he's an alcoholic.
Okay, I get that.
You're not alcoholic anymore. You were alcoholic 30 years ago.
What's his name? I'm going to write that down.
Andrew Farley.
Farley. I'm writing that down. I want to check it out.
Get to learn about grace, and you'll find rest and peace for your soul. It's like this man opens up the scriptures and he takes what's been scriptures that have been twisted. It's a revelation, man.
Yeah.
God, that I came across this.
Well, that's cool. I wrote it down and sent it to myself in an email, so I'll check it out maybe later or tomorrow. But to close up on the religious segment of the show, Ephesians verse 2:8, God has saved us not by works, but by grace. Yes. So that's how I look at myself. I'm saved by grace, not by my hand.
Yep.
So I don't want, because I think if I tell people I'm a Christian and then they're not or whatever, it could turn them off, turn them away from God, turn them away from me, turn them away from religion. If they think I'm a holy roller and you're a sinner like that. When did that ever help to talk to people that way?
It's not like you said. It's not like we think we're better than anybody, because we're not.
Right.
We may not be better, but we can be better off.
Jacob Hernandez, rarely hear people properly name discernment as a gift. Good on you, Mr. Fosco. There you go. Yeah. And John says, when Jesus was tempted, Satan did so through scriptures, misconstrued scriptures, but scriptures nonetheless.
Yes,
true.
That's right.
You know what? A couple of people have mentioned in the chat, if you're going to do a creator-owned book, that would be great to see. That's to you, Mr. Fosco. And Danky Frankie says, you're our kind of people.
It's cool.
Who knows? I'll tell you this, Frank. You're good on camera. You're fun to talk to. You've got decades of stories. I think you'd fit in nicely, even if you want to be Comicsgate or not. But I look at Comicsgate, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I look at it this way. We're right now in the late 1800s, right when the automobile is invented in the 1900s, all that stuff.
Right.
You could keep your horse and buggy and go out of business, or you can understand that the automobile is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think if people stay, oh, they don't know how to use a computer and YouTube and blah, 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 like, well, then you're going to get left behind. Yeah. This is it. I didn't decide it. You didn't decide it, but this is how it is now. And it's actually kind of amazing. Look at Bootleg Godzilla comes in here. He's like an old colleague of yours. Right. You couldn't do that 10, 20 years ago.
No. I mean, the world's now.
I would tell you this, and you're older than me, so please take this in the spirit it's intended, because I would never lecture someone older than me. You can do what I'm doing too. All you've got to do is build Frank Fosco's YouTube and Twitter, build it some, come on here, be honest, be yourself. People seem to like you. I like you already. I barely know you. Yeah. And you build enough of an audience, who knows? You could launch your own book in a year or something. But I don't want to meddle in your life, so but it's something to think of.
You already started doing it.
Okay. I say all that and then say, I don't want to meddle.
Push I need. No.
Right? Well, just think, you said you dream of doing the Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah, well,
Why not do Frank's version?
That was when Marvel was Marvel.
But what I'm saying is this. Look at, I want to do.
I got you. Right.
Yeah, I want to do these comics. So you know what? I'll just make my own. If DC and Marvel won't do it the right way, then fine. Go do it the stupid way. Do it without me, by the way. You don't need my talent. Right. It's their loss. And then I'll do mine better, and I'll show you guys how it's done. And I think you could do Frank's Fantastic Four, but it's not that one, but it's your version.
I would
have all the fun you want.
Yeah, I would probably do my character Ethereal.
They're making fun of me. Stopped preaching and started meddling. You're gonna quit your job. You're gonna quit your regular job tonight, and you're gonna tell your wife, "No, I met this lunatic Arab Mexican guy on the internet. Believe me, we're gonna be rich."
That would be nice if I had a wife to tell that to.
Oh, sorry. I assumed.
Yeah, must seem like the Marian type.
Oh man, yeah, I am meddling and preaching. Oh boy, you get it all with me.
Hey, kindred spirits, brother.
That's right. Well, what else we got? We're all over the road here. So, is there anything else you want to discuss, or should we call it a show, or what do you think?
I don't know, man. It was great hanging with you, man. I'm glad to meet you, Gabe.
Yeah, you too, man. And thanks for inspiring me when I was a kid. I loved those Ninja Turtle comics.
Right, good.
So you're part of the reason I do this. All of you guys that were there back in the 90s.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I played a small part, but a guy at my age, you'd think I would have a lot more body of work, but God's got his reasons. That's a whole nother story.
Right.
Why things happen the way they do,
Okay, well, if you guys want more Frank Fosco, where can they find you? I put the Facebook link in the description so they can click there. Where else can they find what you're up to or anything like that?
Basically, just on Facebook.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not on the other. I'm not on Instagram or Twitter. I spent enough time getting caught up in social media just on Facebook. They don't need anything else tying me up. I gotta get stuff done.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you, Instagram is much more peaceful. There's no political fighting for the most part. Yeah. You post art and people like it. And that's pretty much all Instagram is. I really enjoy Instagram.
Yeah. All right.
And it's owned by Facebook. So you technically already have an Instagram account. If you have a Facebook one, you technically already have an Instagram account.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'll tell you, Frank, you got fans out there. I mean, we had people coming in here saying they like your work, and this guy has your artwork on his walls and stuff. So if you're thinking about, you know, revisiting comics independently, it's there for you if you want it. Just build your social media. I'll gladly have you on here anytime. We can do a little better prep and get a bunch of that old artwork you want to talk about from Megaton and all that.
Yeah.
We can go into the Megaton days. Why don't we do that sometime?
Okay. You know what? Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be fun. I'm very curious about that because as a kid, I only just saw little snippets of it that Eric Larson would post in his magazine and talk about, and I didn't really know what he was talking about.
Yeah. You know, Gabe, I got your email. I'll send you some of the artwork, just of the Megaton stuff.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Okay, then. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Sign up for the mailing list for Truth, Justice, American Way. Please do that, guys. This is classic superhero action. It's back, baby. The stuff you fell in love with, it's back, and you've got 3 stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, guys. It's so much fun. And please sign up for the mailing list, and the link is in the description for that. And share it out, tell your friends, and then follow. If people could check out Frank on Facebook and stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Shanthan Jetty and I will be doing Double Impact, where we will be discussing the 1980s masterpiece known as RoboCop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be having fun talking about that. All right, have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.
All right.